Hello, everybody. I am here with the beautiful Black Bonnet Witch. Y'all know her as Shishi. Shishi, what is the topic today?
The topic today, according to Facebook, is conjuring apartments and homes.
Which I think is really, really great because a lot of people right now are. I have like 4 or 5 friends that are looking for homes, that are looking for apartments, and they're like, how do you magically? What would you do magically to bring it in? And they're like, I just hardly anything you find online. And I'm like, there's so many different things that you can do to find a home. When we got in this home, and let me turn my comments on because I'm just sitting over here running my mouth. Hey, everybody, because I was like, I don't even see anybody. Jed, Elion, Ophelia, I love that name. Mary, Day Day, Antoinette, Papa Smoke, Papa Smoke for show. I can never get that TX in on that. Kiki. So real quick, when we were trying to get this house, I was having the hardest time because I had something on my credit that was like from years back and they would not take it off. And it kept being the little hiccup. And so I was like, okay, we got to get past this bullshit because the money that they were asking me to pay the thing off was like not going to happen because I didn't feel like I needed to pay it. And so, you know how when they keep selling your loan and making it new and selling it, this loan is going on 20 something years. It's like, fuck, I'm not paying $3,000 to get this off. It should be off. So, Jazz found this house and I was like, okay, we're going to do a little bit of work because I knew I had to. So I actually use St. Joseph. And typically people use St. Joseph to sell a home. But you can actually use him to also purchase him and St. Anthony because St. Anthony is the patron saint of finding things. So if you have a home that you're looking for, what I did was I got their candle. I took a picture of the home from online. I put it under the candle. I put $20. I gave them the pound cake. I gave some water. I gave a candle. I said, I need to be in this house by the end of this month. Let's say some prayers. Let's get this on and popping because your girl don't want to pay another month for that goddamn storage unit. So it was like, it was weird because I had a dream that night where he was like, I need you to go get some dirt from the property. And so I was like, okay, cool. I came, I scooped up the dirt, I put it around his candle, and what it did was it connected the house more so to the work. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. You can bury personal things in the yard. There's so many different ways. But have you ever been in a situation where you had to work for a house?
So I have. I did do a candle just like you said. I put a picture of it. Actually, I didn't have to put a picture of mine. Let me reword that. I did that for someone else's. But for my apartment, I did do a spell back in Virginia. I had a white candle. I wrote the spell around the candle. I put the oil, and I used abundance oil. Honestly, I used abundance Van oil. I put my energy into it. I said what I wanted my house to be. I was like, it doesn't have to be anything huge, but it needs to be able to hold me and my things and comfortable. And honestly, I had said, I want a hobbit hole house. Give me a hobbit hole house. And because I just watched Lord of the Rings. And sure enough, the apartment that I got slanted.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, okay, where did that come from? But okay, I got it.
I didn't need a huge house.
Right.
And so the apartment that I got, because the roof slanted in my shower, if you were about 2 inches taller than me, you could not fit into my shower.
Oh.
So I did get a kind of hobbit hole house, and it was cute. It was small. I loved it. I stayed there for 8 years, I think. I stayed there for a while before I moved. But
that's really like you got what you wanted and you stayed long term.
And I stayed long term. Normally, the people that were in my apartment would only stay like a year, 6 months to a year. But I stayed for 8 years. They got to the point to where they didn't even have me sign a lease. They were like, okay, well, we just already know you're here. And they would bring me food. And I was just used to being with my landlords. But there's multiple ways that you can do it. Now, let's say you know what the house looks like and you get a chance to do a walkthrough. Well, at night, you could actually... it's kind of like meditation, but it's, you lay down and
Mm-hmm.
you see yourself sleeping in that house. You see your bed being there. You walk the house as though you're already there from first person, full knowledge that that's your house, kind of like astrally projecting yourself, interacting with the house. And that will also open roads, at least, at least manifestation wise. So it's the same as if it's saying you're already claiming it. You're putting your stake on this land.
Right.
So you could also get dirt. You could put it on the candle as well, linking yourself to the house if you want. For me, once I saw the apartment, I did do that candle, but I laid down and I imagined how I would decorate the house.
Yeah. It
Like I
makes
had already been living there.
manifestation, of course, visualization is powerful. Because I mean, for some people, you need to see yourself in that environment. When we walked through this house, I had got my hair cut maybe 3 days before. And what I did when I came and met with the real estate agent, as we walked through the house, I dropped my hair because to me, it was already my house. So I was leaving my personal concerns there. So 100%, and with any type of work, which is really hard for a lot of people. Yes,
Yes,
Ginger.
it would.
Yeah, say you have a handkerchief or something that you wipe your sweat with and you drop it in a closet, in the back of the closet. Because when you do walkthroughs, very seldom do some of these real estate agents go through and clean everything up. So you got to be creative. Like the guy never even saw me dropping my hair, but I was dropping my hair. Now you could also go back at the end of the day or go at night, and act like you're just surveying the property or whatever and drop personal concerns in the yard. What you could also do too is feed the spirits of that property. Like every time I went to go look at a house, I would bring a pocket full of candy. And when I would get out my car, I would be like, to sweeten the deal, because you want me here. Because sometimes we have to appease to the spirits of the property or the home so that they can help us get in, because they do have a say so who gets into that house.
I think, like looking at what Nika says, what if you don't know the house? Well, then what you need to do is when you're doing the ritual, write down what it is that you need in a house. Now, I'm like, okay, think big. If you say you want to make mansion, cool, you want to make mansion. But what is it really that you want your house to be like? Describe it like you're already living there, and then put it under the candle. So I like to script when I want something that I'm already claiming, like, oh my God, I'm in love with the fact that my couch is here in this house. And I'm so happy and I'm so grateful that this is my apartment, blah, blah, blah. Like it's already happening as well.
Yeah.
So,
and I think too, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, babe. Go ahead.
So I already say that it's mine, and then I keep moving.
Also too, and I think Nika was saying, how do you know? Oh wait, Lynna got us another question. How do you know that if you don't know the house and you just need a place? The vision board was where I originally started putting my house on. Now, is this my dream home? No. This was something I felt like for my kids to grow up, and then eventually when they got rid of school or graduated to move out. That's not happening yet. So I'm fixing to hot foot them out the house.
No.
So they can move. Yes, I'm gonna point their shoes towards the door, and I'm gonna hot put them out. But my dream home is in Bali. I've seen like several homes that I want. Now, of course, like Nika, I don't know if any of these houses are going to be available. So what I put on my vision board is what I want the house to look like, what I need in that house. I know it needs to have an altar room. I know I need to have a big walk-in closet. I don't even give a shit about a kitchen, to be honest. I don't. I'm not going to cook. When they move out, I'm not going to cook. I'm just going to have, food come to me. But the bathroom, I don't give a shit about anything else in the house but the bathroom. The bathroom has to be magnificent. I can live in the bathroom. So I just found pictures of what I wanted.
Yep. I have my vision board, and I have 3 options here on my space. I know I want, if I have the apartment, I want it to be, I want to have a loft where my bed would be. So I want to be able to go upstairs, and my bedroom is on a loft. I love that. So that's, but
I do
downstairs I
too.
want multiple. So, you know, visualizing, having at least some idea of what you want is also helpful. So you're right. I agree with that. If I have a house, I want me a stone cottage. I have that set up. But in reality, I need a kitchen. I'm about the kitchen, right? I want my kitchen to look beautiful. I saw this one kitchen where it faced the woods and it was on the top floor, but it had huge windows. So it was like you were up there with the trees and that kid. I was like, I want that. That's what I want. I want that back. But I
That
think,
sounds
you know,
beautiful.
I've been looking for the picture because I wanted to send it to you and be like, oh my God, look at this. But I think a lot of the times we have some idea of what it is
Oh,
or
absolutely.
where we want to live. We know that we don't want to, most time, if you have a family, you don't want to live in a studio apartment. We know that. So how many rooms do you need? How many rooms do you want? What do you want your kitchen to look like? What do you want your bathroom to look like?
Yeah.
But no matter which way you go about it, you have to have belief that the doors are going to be opened up for you to get your place. If you're sitting up here, okay, I'm doing the working for my place. This is my apartment. And you're like, I hope it's my apartment. Oh my God, what if I don't get this apartment? Then it's going to backfire, right?
You can't. It's really hard to manifest out of desperation. It really is, because if you don't believe in it, let me see. Have you both found something affordable? Like, I thought I found something, but the condo fees were extra. You know, Texas, and I get that with a lot of different places. Texas is really reasonable, typically with real estate, but because of the pandemic, there's a lot of price gouging that's going on where people are paying enormous rates right now for apartments. We have a mutual friend that's looking at apartments in California where they're like $4,000 a month. You're talking about coming up with a deposit first month is $9,000 already. So, and I think somebody was really good on here with the manifestation, the sweetening jar.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Say you have an agent, or you have a loan officer, or you're trying to come up with a deposit, but you're getting opposition because of your budget. You don't have the money. I think anytime you start doing work to find a place to live, you also need to be doing money work along with that. I don't even care if it's not for the deposit. You still got to furnish.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's where you see these people get into the house and they got to put aluminum foil on their windows because they can't afford curtains afterwards, because they got the house, but they don't have any other money.
It's called house poor. When you're house poor, there's people that get huge houses and they can't even furnish it.
So I think, honestly, when it comes to dealing with a place that is too high, then you need to do manifestation with domination work. You're dominating a situation to go the way you want. Say the apartment is $500 more, then let's start sweetening the landlord or the leasing company. And then let's dominate so that when I talk to them, I get what I want. A lot of times it's the pet deposit for a lot of people.
Like $50-$60 a month a pet. Yeah.
Girl, well, the house that we first looked at, the guy wanted $2,000 pet deposit for Yoda. And I was like, that's a lot of money for a little bitty dog. And I was like, I'm not paying that amount of money. Some people don't have a choice. But when we got in this house, the pet deposit was $350. But I manifested that. I said I wanted a pet deposit that was under $500. And so I worked on sweetening this landlord because the rent was good, but the pet deposit was outrageous. And so I literally was able to get the pet deposit down to $350. The manifestation was under $500. I probably should have said no pet deposit, now that I think about it.
But you want to be fair.
But I wanted to be fair because, I mean, we have to be realistic with the manifestation.
I think, you know, honestly, when I got my apartment, it was definitely, I had been looking, couldn't find anything worth the life of me. And I said, you know, I did my candle just to open roads. I was like, you know what? I need a place, open roads. And then something was like, okay, well, look at the computer. At like 12:03, my landlords had posted that apartment. And the rent was so good because when I first got into it, I think the rent was $900.
Woo.
which is great for DC. It's
That
great
is
for the area.
great for DC because I know people paying $3,000 a month. DC.
Yeah, well, the DMV. So I had 900. It was not a non-traditional apartment, which is something I wanted. I did not want a traditional apartment. I wanted to be connected to somebody because if something happened, because I was going to be sitting there by myself, something happened, someone would know I was missing or something like that. So it was really big for me. But when I had gotten there were all these people. Like this man, he was 6 foot. He came out the house, and the guy at the time, my landlord's son, was like, "You can't stay." He's like, "Dude, come on, like let's be real. This is not the apartment for you."
Yeah, you're too tall. You know, this is a hobbit.
But it was before I had seen it, so I go in. I was like, "This is perfect. I can fit in that shower tub. That's great." And so, when I saw it, it was perfect for me. I went home. I did my working. And I said they're gonna keep the price at 900 because one guy was trying to offer 11. I was like, they're gonna keep my price at 900 because it's fair and it's not gonna ever go up. Well, it did go up. They were like, hey, we want to charge you 950, and I was like, no, how about 930? You know, when the year had come and we had to get charged more because they didn't know how much electricity. Because 900 included everything but my phone and TV, so all my utilities were included. So it went up to 930, and I did not have to pay more than that for this other 6 years I was staying there.
That is amazing. That's amazing. Shit.
So,
I would have stayed there fucking ever.
I wanted to stay there for fucking ever. I would have. I would have stayed there forever. I think my landlords were like, cool, so you're staying here forever, we're good with that.
Yeah.
So, but then it was getting weird. The pipes had to be replaced and they didn't want to replace them. So there were some other things. But when I did not want the rent to be raised, and I was like 930, and they were like, let me think about it. I did do a sweetening jar. I was like, please, 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 please. And I put all in their energy. I was like, no, you're not going to raise the rent more than 30. That's going to be perfect. The dad's going to accept it because nothing's really changed. I don't use a lot. And he was like, cool, 930. And then it didn't change for, like I said, 6 years that I was there.
And you honestly can bury the sweetening jar on the property. Now you got to be creative with it. You definitely have to be creative with it. If it's a house and you're exploring a house, a lot of times the outside, you can go and look without the real estate agent to the property. You know, you just don't want other neighbors to see. But I always take people that are a distraction. Like you go, you look over here, and I'm going to go in the corner and bury, my picture, or I'm going to bury my hair. Now, Papa Smoke is saying, now, what if it's a certain apartment, but you have to go through certain departments to qualify?
Circumstances don't matter. That's the first thing you should know. Circumstances do not matter. If you want it, then do it. It's only us that limits the possibility of what it is that we want. Like, oh my God, I can't get this unless I do this. That's not how it works. That's not how manifestation, that's not how metaphysics, that's not how magic works.
True.
Circumstances do not matter.
And I think too, you would still go through the same things. You could still dominate that whole situation. If you work with deities, we just put in St. Anthony and St. Joseph. There are also other deities that if you work with them, spirit can do anything. Your ancestors
will do it for you.
So the first person I always go to is like my grandmother. Like, I need you to open up this opportunity because she does. Okay, so let's see. I put a deposit down for a townhome in December. I was supposed to move in January, but it got pushed to something in February. Would you suggest a candle to get it moving along? I still don't have a date. With that, I would probably do a little domination work too. Or even with Papa
Legba. I would open
the road. I was going to say with Papa Legba, because I would say open the road first, because I guarantee you, I keep hearing COVID and something with paperwork, which means that the delay maybe is temporary for sure. But I feel like that there's something that's going on with sickness, and it's either somebody's sick and the paperwork is not going through, or I don't know. But it's a temporary delay. Are you getting that?
I'm getting something's wrong, like somebody's not trying to move out, or there's some delay with someone.
Yeah, something's going on.
Not wanting to move. But at the same time, I'm also getting that you might want to save some money. Like maybe this is not a all bad thing on your end. It's going to work out and you're good either way. So there's something else that's going to be a positive for you there.
I feel the same thing too. Spirit is saying there's a delay for a reason. So
you're
it looks like
definitely
it's
gonna
going to
get
work in
it.
her behalf.
Yeah.
But she's right. I would do like a road opener first, and then I would dominate. To be honest, Spirit is saying this is temporary. You may not even have to dominate because it's already going your way. From what I hear is that you're going to get the apartment. But I feel like because of the delay, I would work with a road opening spirit. And you could go to the Crossroads, to be honest, and just leave offerings there. You don't have to work with Papa Legba. There are a lot of Crossroads spirits that could open that door for you. Your ancestors could move that along too with open road work.
I feel like, you're thinking it's going to take another 2 months or something else. It's not going to take that long. It's really not going to take as long as what you're thinking. So make sure that while you're going through like this concerning moment in time, don't panic, and then add more time to it through your panic. Which sounds weird to say, but sometimes you could do that. Like, oh my God, it's going to take 4 months. It's going to take 4 months. And all of a sudden it took 4 months because that's what you were bringing out into the air. That's what you were thinking. And in reality, it was going to take 2 weeks. So, but the delay is there also for a reason. But yeah, you can open the roads. And you could do a sweetening jar on whoever is supposed to be working on your behalf as well. So, just put everybody, like whoever's working on this apartment, whatever's, put a sweetening spell. They're all working for my favor. And then I throw in there, like, because of this delay, I'm going to get something else for free. I would just do.
You might as well, like you said, get everything that you need. Here's the thing, you guys. You can go to your ancestors right off the bat for a lot of this. To find a home, to sweeten a person, to open the roads for you. If you're not in good standing with your ancestors, I mean, that may be some work. We can't do this like Jesus. Like, oh, I need you. Now come get me this house or this apartment, or let's make it affordable. Let's start building a relationship with your spirits now so that when you need them to interact, it's not like, oh, Jesus, take the wheel right now because I need you. I didn't need you the other 364 days a year, but I need you now.
Yeah.
Once you develop a relationship with your spirits, you'll see that a lot of things will open up for you because you have a working relationship. Now, Kwani was like, do you use a sweetening jar to attract a home to you in a certain that is affordable? I wouldn't.
You could use manifestation.
Yeah,
but I don't think I would use a honey jar that way. I mean, I don't see how you couldn't. I mean, it's possible, but because what you use that to attract love, right? You may not know a specific person that you're trying to attract. So technically you could use it that way if you want it, but in reality, you could just do that with.
I would honestly, I'm kind of like you could, but I think most people already know the type of home that they want. They know what they're attracted to. So it's like, I think you would be bringing it into you, which would be more manifestation. And then also too, I feel like that you could use like Saint Anthony or a spirit that literally finds what you're looking for. You may not know what it is, but I would go to Saint Anthony and be like, the house I want. I want a hobby house. I want my ceilings to look a certain way. I want the pet deposit to be low. I need you to find this house for me. You can also send out your spirits, your ancestors, and have them be your real estate agent. So I think there's a lot of different ways you can do it. Can you hire a spiritualist to manifest a home for you?
Sophie.
Why not manifest it yourself? You know what you want. Can you have somebody do an open road work for you? Of course. Can you have somebody do domination work for you? Of course. But when it comes to manifestation, you have the power to do that yourself. You already know what you want. You have a better idea of what it is than I do because you already have a visual.
Especially, honestly, I don't think you should be scared to do it yourself. You know what you want. You know what you need.
Yeah.
Y'all, I'm sending Sophie to you. She's being a hot mess right now. Sophie.
Girl. Shoot. Well, I guess she would fit in with the rest of them. They outside rolling in the grass now, so.
But that's, I look at a house similar to when you're trying to attract a partner. You may not know exactly what you want that partner to, or you may not have seen that partner directly, but what that partner needs. I'm not going to have somebody manifest my partner for me. Just like I'm not going to have somebody manifest my house for me because what they think is amazing may not be what I think is amazing. or doable?
Yeah, I think everybody has a visual of what they
Yeah.
want. Now, could you tell me as a worker what you want? Just say somebody lives in an environment where they can't do the work. I've had people do that, where they're like, can you do the domination work for me? Can you do the road opening work for me? Yes, I can. They'll send me a picture of the house. They'll send me, the criteria that they're looking for, but we're working together. I'm not manifesting. I'm not taking over your manifestation. What I'm doing is I'm giving it a place. I'm giving it space, and I'm making sure that it is working, that the working is being done. Because I know people that have roommates and things where they can't, put the candles up. They can't do certain things.
Well, I think, sometimes, like, I think you can make workings very aesthetically pleasing in the sense that you don't know that you're doing a working,
Yeah.
right? But in reality, I think when you really want something, yeah, like you said, you can give a space for it. But I think a lot of people, and I'm not saying that this is the case with the person that asked the question, a lot of people, when they're like, okay, do this for me, it's like, then okay, great, she's doing it. It's out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
But you are correct. You're supposed to be working with the practitioner,
Yeah.
and manifesting and bringing it to you. So either which way, you're still doing the working.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think people kind of, like you say, out of sight, out of mind. She's going to do the work. I don't have to think about it. I'm just going to go have my Starbucks and go to work that day. And then she's going to call me when the candle or the lamp is lit. And then when I get the house, I'll call her and let her know that the house came through. You have to actively pull that energy in too, because it's going to be your house.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people get confused with that. It's like, even with love work, people do that. Well, I paid you to do the love work. Why isn't this person calling me? And I'm like, okay, are you doing self-love? Are you thinking about this person? Are you doing a manifestation on your end? And it's like, well, no, that's what I paid you for. Well, goddamn.
Are you still holding on to like this old crappy story of this person doesn't want me? Well, if I'm doing the work and you're still saying this person doesn't want you, you're combating me.
Yeah.
So there's a lot.
And like Day said, exactly like the lamps. You're right. I lit the lamps for 15 days. I prayed over the lamps, which is, prayer, which is opening that door, which is giving power to that work. But these lamps are benefiting not only me, they're benefiting you. You have to want this stuff. So you definitely have to kind of put your energy into it. That kind of goes back to even with the sweetening jar, with the personal concerns. You're making this yours.
I'm looking at the comments. I want to say hi to everybody, and hi, wifey Day as well, and hi, cousin. My issue with manifesting or doing work, I always second guess my connection with spirit or if I'm doing it correctly. Now, let me explain to you. Manifestation, we tend to make a lot more difficult than what it really is, right? Mm-hmm. It's just a fact. We do. We think if it's too easy, then we can't be doing it right. Where a lot of people mess up with manifestation, and once again, even doing spell work, working with your ancestors, it's still manifestation, because if you don't believe they're coming through, they're not coming through. That's where people mess up, is having a lack of faith and belief in themselves. So when I do work, which I know when I first met Tonya, I was like, oh my God, my work will work for everybody across the whole world. But for some reason, when I was doing something for myself, it seemed like it just wasn't working the same. And I came to realize, I'm sitting here doubting, like, oh my God, is this going to work for me? I know it works for that person, but it's going to work for me too. Right. You have to believe and have faith that what you're doing is going to bear fruit, that you're doing it. You're doing what you need to do to have it done. Now, there are a lot of steps that go with other rituals and things like that. But when it comes to manifestation, a lot of it is just mindset and thoughts. You have gotten up. You have said, that is mine. That's the end. My ancestors, my guides are going to bring it to me. And you're going to keep going. Your job is to hold that mental diet and faith that it's already done.
Right. That kind of came back in with the lamp work that we did. I had some people that were like, I can't manifest or visualize it because I'm not seeing the work. Now, I didn't want to post the work, but then I realized there are some people that definitely have issues with attention, with their focus, and they need to see visuals. Create vision boards. If you're looking for a house, create the vision board of what it looks like, what you want to pay, the area that you want to live in, your color scheme for your house. Put that somewhere in your living room or your bedroom where you see that every day. I agree with Shishi. Manifestation and working with spirit is not that hard. You have to believe in it, but to believe in it, some people need to see it. I don't. For me, I can visualize it, and there's not a doubt that it's coming to me. There never is a doubt that it's coming to me, but not everybody is going to manifest that way. So she's right. We have to put the effort into it, but you also have to believe that it's going to work.
The other part is if, like, you know, in the case of what you were saying, some people don't have visuals because of the lamp. They could light a candle at home and let that be their visual. And like, this candle is connecting to the lamp or the work that Tanya's doing, and that is my visual.
Yeah. And I had people do that. I had people that said, I lit a candle when we started the work, and then I kept it going because that was my visualization of my lamp.
Mm-hmm.
And they figured out a way to do it for them. So let's see, Sierra. I feel really naive asking, but Crossroads, literally Crossroads. Like, okay, Crossroads is a four-way intersection. Doesn't necessarily have to be across a railroad, just a four-way intersection where there's a lot of opportunities. You have opportunities coming from four different directions. So Crossroads spirits, have y'all ever seen those old time hoodoo movies where people went to the crossroads to talk to the crossroad demon?
Just to make a dirt road.
To a dirt road, right? Country town. They went there to make, connections with the crossroad demon. Now, in voodoo, Kafu is over the crossroads, but there's several deities and several spirits that reside in the crossroads. So you can bring coins, you can bring a picture of what you want, you can bring a petition, and you can leave it in the crossroads. Now, if you're going to do this, I would recommend going really, really late at night when there's less traffic. You want to try manifestation in busy crossroads. You don't want something that's stagnant. If you're trying to get something to move, you want a busy crossroad. If you're trying to get something to slow down, then you can go find your crossroad. Like, say you're doing some work on your enemies and you want that work to be long and slow. You can go to a crossroad where there's not a lot of traffic so that work can sit there for a while. But when it's something that you're trying to get an apartment next month, find you a busy crossroad, drop it off that night so that in the morning when the traffic picks up, or if you have to go through a busy crossroad, definitely take your work. I put it in a little handkerchief, and while I'm going through the crossroad, I just drop it in the middle of it and I keep going.
The other part is a lot of people forget that a lot of their neighborhoods have crossroads. So Absolutely. If you think about it, like when you have your neighborhood, there's a lot of crossroads in your neighborhood, and people are always driving past it. Now, if you don't, like she said, if you don't want anyone to know that you're the person that dropped it off, that's cool. Do it in the middle of the night. I had to do that. I swear to God, though, I think my landlord took those apples and he made something with it or he threw them away. But you can do it, like your neighborhood has crossroads all the time. And so if you need something busy and you know that people are constantly driving past your house and going every which way, do it by your neighborhood. If it's a positive one, if it's a negative one, take it out your neighborhood. Take it out your neighborhood if it's negative. Yeah. But for me, I had a crossroads at my house, and it was like, the good part is that it was busy going most ways, and one way they had like blocked off, and I was like, cool, I can go drop my work over there. So it made it convenient.
Yeah, you got to get creative with it. I mean, don't put yourself in harm's way, because I've seen some people try to do some stuff in the middle of the crossroad at a busy time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, they're going to get hit. But you have to be, definitely be careful. Use your common sense when it comes to how you're dropping your work off. Get it as close to the crossroad as you can. Can a traffic circle be a crossroads? We have circles here where there is a four-way opening. The thing about it, though, is it's really hard to get your work in the center of that. I've seen on TV where I think it was YouTube where somebody was trying to do it and they were going around in circles trying to drop it was hilarious, trying to drop the work off in the circle.
I think circles are good if you're doing a spell work that you want a person to continue a loop over and over and over again, because
And
everyone's
I
going
was going to say,
around and
yeah, I
around
was
and
going to
around.
say that. My thing too, it would be like, okay, so you're putting this work in the middle of the circle, even though there's a crossroad. Is the work just going around in circles? Will it cause delays?
It'll be a loop and a loop and a loop.
Now, if you were doing enemy work
That
and
would
you
be
wanted
great.
somebody to go crazy and just like not be able to get out of their own way, that would be perfect. But for a home, I wouldn't do it for a home. Me personally.
I mean, for me, like if you wanted to do positive work or you need something, keep it traditional.
Yeah.
In the sense of the crossroads. Now, if you're doing enemy work, that's easier to get creative with.
I've never thought about that, but you are right. That would be a great place.
I
So I
mean,
got a circle. I think it's in Baytown. I can go drop some shit off in there with some enemies that just
you
kind of keep
can and just loops.
chasing their tail.
You can also take it to the ocean and you could throw in the ocean, and because it's never retrievable and all the waves hit, it'll continue to go over and over and over and over again until the person does whatever they need to do for it to stop.
True. Let's see. Yes, there's a 4-way. Okay, perfect. Right by your townhouse. Normally, you don't drop anything off without giving the spirits an offering. You know, if you just throw your petition out there, you know what's giving them the incentive to work for you. They don't know you. Oh, these goddamn 4-wheelers in this field, they fucking irritate me. But if you are asking spirit for any type of help, you want to give them an offering. They're using their energy to help you. So I normally get, most people take 2 dimes. I'll get like some coins. If it were me, I would probably maybe even print out the lease agreement or a picture of it. I would put the coins in it, wrap it up in the paper, and then I would drop it off along with my petition. Now, I burn my petitions, so it would be the ash. I would write it on a piece of paper, burn the ash, put all that in there, and then drop it in the Crossroads.
Yep. That would be what I do. I had a guess. I know a lady who took the baby's umbilical cord. See, I know people do that, but that's weird to me because I'm like, that's not yours. It's your child's, but it's not yours.
Yeah.
And I feel some kind of way about that, you know, because you don't know what that ties the baby to.
Well, here's the thing. The umbilical cord is kind of like the opening to that child, and you have a lot of malevolent spirits that also could use that in a negative way. I would maybe like a piece of hair or even, you know, a kindergarten graduation picture, and then put something like that. Anytime you start using blood or things that have blood on it, you're attracting a lot of spirits that may or may not work in your favor. I never tell people how to practice, though, you know, to each their own. Her spirits may have told her to do that. I don't know. I wouldn't do it.
I guess my thing is like, I mean, I see now that she wanted her son to go to Harvard, so I misread that. Apologies. But I also feel like, what if her kid didn't want to go to Harvard?
Yeah, you're binding them to something that they may not want. Which would make them miserable.
I mean, I don't blame them for being miserable at all. Not only that, because she's right, it is blood. You don't know what else you're adding to that.
Yeah.
I mean, anything.
And you don't know what spirits that you're calling to that, you know. Like I said too, even if you're burying personal concerns at a house that you want, I sweeten the spirits first. I always come with offerings for them, whether it's pouring water out in the yard, whether it's giving them coins. Because here's the thing, if the spirits of that land don't want you there, they will make you miserable in that house. So some, you know, properties and houses have spirits. They do. Some of them are nice, some of them not so nice. So you want to sweeten that up before you just start, you know, binding them or trying to, you know, lock them down. So, okay, what about graveyard work? Does it have to be wishing death or ending something? No. You know, a lot of people, graveyard work gets a lot of negative connotations because most people that are on TikTok and IG now that are trying to build their page and look all woke and, you know, fancy and all this shit like that. You know, Yeah, we got all these people going into the graveyard. You got, you know, and belly whopping and all this shit like that, and talking about they curse of people.
But have you ever watched them and then wonder, like, when you're like, oh, so you don't see that dead person behind you looking at you, like, I mean,
because you know them dead people sitting up here like take it with their tea, like Billy
oh,
Bob,
yeah.
you see this shit going on over there by so and so grave. If, you know, maybe they might be glad they did if they realize what the fuckery is going on in 2022. It may be like shit. I know they be watching me when I go. So here's the thing: graveyard work is not just to curse people. If you have ancestors in the graveyard, you literally it goes back to old times. When people died and they didn't have altars, when slaves didn't have altars and things to go to, they went to the place that the spirit was. If it was an Ogu, they went to the railroad. If it was Oshun, they went to the river. If it was La Serena, Yamaya, they went to the ocean. If it was the dead that they were working with, they went to where the dead was in the graveyard. Dead can help you find love. Dead can help you with health. Dead can help you find an apartment or a house. Yeah. But it's the same thing. You have to have a relationship with them before you just start throwing stuff in the graveyard to them. You're building a relationship.
Shay said she had a lot of family in the graveyard. So if you know that you have family there and, you know, you have a good relationship with them, then go for it.
Yeah, definitely, because those are your ancestors, and the dead can help you. The dead can 100% help you, and especially the ones that are your blood tie, if they want you to have it. Now, with any spirit, if it's not good for you, it may not come through. So when we look at houses that we want and apartments that we want, we also have to take into consideration that if it doesn't go through, if it's not, the work doesn't go through, it may be a reason, just like that delay that we saw with the earlier question. There's a reason that there's a delay. You know, maybe there's something that needs to be cleaned out of that apartment, or maybe there's something that needs to be done to that apartment. So I will say, I always go through my ancestors first. Is this for my greater good? If it is, I think they help find a way. If it's not, a lot of times I'll be in the corner sulking, you know, pissed off because they didn't let me get my way, but it may have been for my good.
So I would say with my ancestors now, like, I'm always like, this is what I desired, I'm going for it. There have been times, and which is definitely goes against like what I'm after, you know, where they've been like, go ahead, we're gonna let you fall. You'll figure it out after.
Oh yeah. So, I remember and this was so funny because I know this was my grandmother. When I got divorced, I was living with my sister. We moved in with her, and she sold her house without telling me. She sold her house, and she was like, you have a week to find a place to live. And that was it. And I was like, what? I had 2 kids. I had 2 small kids at the time. So it was like, okay, you sold your house and you knew this. You knew we were going to have to be out. But I was in panic mode. So I applied for an apartment, and my credit was not great. Anybody who's ever gone through a divorce, you know, your credit is jacked up afterwards. So I went to the apartment, and they were like, you got to do this. You got to go through this hoop or whatever. You got to pay more money down, but the apartment won't be ready for a month. So I was like, fuck. So I had a friend that was she had a little bit of a drinking problem. And I didn't want to, but I was in a really tough position because I didn't want my kids to be homeless. That wasn't an option. I had to find a home for them. We moved in with her, and the moment that I started moving stuff into the house, my grandmother was like, you know this shit ain't right, Tonya. You know this shit ain't right. And I was like, I know, Grandma, I know. She said, you know this shit ain't right. Why are you doing this? And I think the apartment came through in 3 weeks. I think it came through earlier because my grandmother could not stand that decision that I made. And it was horrible. It was horrible. I went in one day to make the kids cereal, and my friend had poured out the milk carton and put vodka in the milk because she was trying to hide her drinking from me because I was there. So I'm sitting up there like, why is this clear fluid coming out the milk thing. And then I sniffed. My mother was like, this shit ain't right. Spirit has jokes though, but they come through because we need them. And they open up doors, but they can also close doors too when the shit ain't right.
That is so funny. I don't know. I think if you're definitely going to go to your spirits, you have to have a good relationship. If you're doing it by yourself, then you have to have faith in yourself to do it. So it all depends on how the route that you're going about. I know a lot of people don't actually work with their ancestors because they don't have a good relationship with their family and they want nothing to do with them. So,
or they don't, or they have issues with the ancestors. Sometimes there's a healing that needs to be done before shit goes right for you. It happens. Are there ancestors that can cause problems? 100% yes.
And sometimes, like, what I've seen with a lot of people who have worked with their ancestors is that the ancestors feel jilted. So, like she said, and it's the same. Like, if you believe in Jesus, you can't do it with any deity. You can't be like, oh, I need you now, and then later I'm going to completely forget about you. So a lot of people do that with their ancestors. They need them at a point, and they're like, give this to me, and they get it done. And then they're like, okay, I don't need you, or I don't want to listen to you anymore. And so then the ancestors are like, okay, bet. We're going to havoc a little bit.
Working with any spirit, like I said, you have to have a working relationship if you are a practitioner. Now, if you're not a practitioner and you don't want to get into spell work and roots and all that stuff like that, then, definitely prayer to whatever your faith is, your higher power, your God, your goddess, or whatever, can open up doors. But basically, like you said, you have to have the faith that it's gonna open up. If you don't believe in it, then it may be a little, I'm not saying that it won't open doors, but it may be more issues or obstacles than saying that you have faith that it's going to work out. I don't manifest anything lukewarm. I get it. I'm going to get it. There's no other way. Yeah. With this house, it was like, this is my house. I'm not looking anymore. I was frustrated. We had already looked at about 8 houses. I wasn't really gung-ho on this one at the beginning, but it was cute. It served the purpose. And I was like, I'm getting into this house. And we got it because there was no other option.
Well, I think a lot of people, when they're doing workings or even doing manifestation, they have a backup plan, right? Because when you're doing manifestation, they tell you, remove the if. Remove the if of, if I don't get that, then I'll go here.
True.
When you're manifesting something, stick with what it is that you're trying to manifest. Don't try to settle. Don't say, okay, I guess. Because then you're really not putting the energy towards what it is that you want.
Right.
But I would say that for most spell work, if you're like, okay, I want person A, but then if I don't get person A, I'm okay with person B. Well, don't do a spell for person A if you're not really all about person A. Person A is, replaceable.
Well, you hit it right on the head. Even with love readings, like on the live read, we have a woman that says, I want love, but then I never leave my house.
And you got to leave your house.
You're not putting any action into it. So it's kind of like, well, I want love, but I kind of think I want my freedom. That's confusing to the universe. That's confusing to the energy, because it's like, okay, do you want it or do you not want it? So you do need to be clear. It's not a if about it. Like she's saying, you definitely have to be clear. What is the best way to cleanse your house before you move in? Okay, so I don't like antiques and certain things because spirit attaches to them. So I'm very particular about what goes in my house, things like that. And even I have 12 altars in my house now. When I leave, I'm going to have to make sure that I cleanse the energy, because the poor person that comes in here after me is going to have some issues, because I do readings here. My house is open to spirit. So when we first came into this house, we did a fire burn. Fire burn is really good for cleansing difficult energies. And what we did was we put some sea salt in a bowl. We poured Florida water over it. And then I set the bowl on fire. I asked my Ogu, my fire spirits, to come in and cleanse the energy. And I did that in every room. I also took ammonia with holy water and Florida water. I wiped down the windows. I wiped down the doors. I wipe down my wall. Now I wasn't in here scrubbing. I mean, you can get that little thing that you do the wall, that you dip into the water and you're wiping your stuff down. I set my wards and cleansed before I even moved a piece of furniture into this house. This house was immaculate, spiritually cleansed. Now, like I said, it's full of energy now. It's full of spirits. So the person who comes in after me, if they don't do a spiritual cleanse, you know, they're gonna have some visitors, some people. I'm gonna try to cleanse it as best as I can for my spirits to come with me, but there are gonna be some spirits that have formed attachments to this house because of me now. So, but definitely before you move your furniture in, cleanse. A lot of people cleanse after they move their stuff in. It's like, oh, now I'm burning sage through the house and all this shit. Before you even bring your furniture in, how do you do it?
So I actually did dragon's blood and sage, like for the smoke, but then I put it over charcoals and let it just kind of get smoky up the house. And then I'm happy at the time though that there was no fire alarm, because that would have been sucky. But then I did clean down the walls and the windows and the floors with Florida water.
Yeah.
Like I mopped it, and because it was wood floors, I couldn't just throw ammonia up there because it was finished. So I was like, okay, Swiffer it with this, and then spray. And I made it work because it wasn't my floor. But that is what I did. I also did ward with sigils, and I sealed the mirror that was in the bathroom.
Yeah. I'm not big on mirrors, period. But I'm like you. I sealed them completely.
And a lot of people forget to seal their mirrors. And that's, to me, one of the biggest things that you need to remember when you're getting to a house is to seal that bad boy. Cleanse it and seal it.
Because you do have spirits that walk through them, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If you come in my house, I'm not big on them, period, anyway. But the bathrooms, I remember getting a reading from a medium because I forgot the guest bathroom. I don't know how, but I did. And she said you had a spirit that walked through that mirror, and I knew it because I kept feeling something heavy in that bathroom, and so I had to go back in and banish and then seal it. So yeah, definitely your mirrors. And I'm not big on keeping them in your bedroom either. I know a lot of people are having these big ones that they do the wardrobe things with. I don't have any mirrors in my bedroom at all.
Well, according to
people looking at me at night.
I know I don't have a mirror in my bedroom at all. I haven't had a mirror in my bedroom since I left Annandale. And I remember my door would not open at one point. Somebody had come up the stairs and then my door wouldn't open. I was trying to get it open. And I remember looking at the mirror and looking at my door because the mirror was on the door. And I looked at the mirror. I was like, this is not funny now. You need to let me out. I don't like it. And then the door opened and I was able to walk out, and I was like, okay, the mirror's got to go. The mirror has got to go. But I couldn't take it off the door. My landlord said seal it up there. So, I mean, I think a lot of people forget that mirrors, they do multiple things. Like if you have to remember, like when you put them in your room, if you're having negative energy, then it doubles it.
Yeah, the reflection of it. Yeah.
The reflection. So it doubles the negative energy in your room. A lot of people are like, oh my God, we're going to have like the kinky time and look in the mirror. I'm like, okay, that's great. You're having the kinky time and looking in the mirror. But, there's other energies that go with that too. So I have no mirrors in my room. None.
It's weird because the first house that when I was married, we had a full length closet that was mirrored. So it went from one corner of the room to the next. And I bought curtains for it. And I remember my ex-husband was like, why are we putting curtains over the mirror? And because I can feel them at night looking at me. Even if they don't come out, I can feel them. If you've ever gone to the bathroom at night and you're about to turn that light on and you look and you see that other reflection, and sometimes you can actually see ancestors through the mirror too. If you put it on your ancestor altar, that'll be a good talk sometime in the future. But yeah, so Sierra's like, how do you seal the mirror? So here's the thing: I wipe mine down with Florida water, and sometimes I'll put sigils, or I will like the one in the living room actually has a cross from it. because the cross is anointed. It's been, I use it as a talisman. So it closes. They don't want to come through it. And that's cool. They don't like it. But you can cleanse it with holy water, Florida water, any of your protective waters, sigils. You know, you can, if you have a frame around it, you can anoint that with oil. How do you seal yours?
So for me, I wipe it down with Florida water, and then I go counterclockwise and seal it.
Yeah.
With words and the spell. Like, you're not open. We're going, and I tell it it's sealed. I'm like, nothing can come through this. This is no longer a portal, blah, 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 until I make it so. And I will sit there a good 10 minutes on that mirror going counterclockwise, because I know.
I take my time with it too. I do take my time with it. Even in a few Airbnbs where I've gone in a room where they have big mirrors, I will put a sheet over it or a towel. It's like, okay, no. So I don't know. I get real anal about the mirrors.
Yep, that's me.
Yeah.
That is me. And it's funny because one of my friends, Shar, she has so many mirrors in her house. Like, when you walk through the door, there's like probably about 10 mirrors like on the wall. And I'm like, no. That's too many mirrors already when you walk in the front door. And she's always laughing at me. I'm like, you got nothing but portals around your house. Have you sealed it? But a lot of people don't realize that mirrors can also, like, they're a portal, but they can, because of how they look out and they reflect, they can open other portals.
Oh yeah,
in your room and in your space,
multiple realms and dimensions and everything in there. Yeah. I mean, and I think for a lot, you said it too about reflecting the energy. If, say, you're moving into a place where people argued all the time, mirrors can capture that energy.
Reflect it out. Your relationship have issues.
Yeah, I've heard that where people have moved into certain places and all of a sudden they're irritated with each other, they're arguing, and it's because of the energy that was captured there. I mean, of course, walls and furniture and things like that can hold energy. That's why I'm not really big on a lot of antiques or buying other people's stuff, because you just don't know. But I think when it comes to homes, you always want to do a spiritual cleanse. You want to get to know the property, the spirits of that property, but you definitely want to wipe it down.
It's funny because where I stay now, my mother loves antique furniture. So there's like tons of antiques around the house, and the house is already old. And so I'm like, great. Great. Like,
yeah.
She's like, it's fine because God's not letting anything get in. I was like, me neither. Me and God. Not letting anything get in.
My mom is the same way. She bought me a cross one time. It was this big turquoise cross, and she was like, "Oh, this would go perfect in your bedroom." And I was like, "That thing it ain't never coming to my house. It was never coming to my house. Something was wrong with that cross." She was like, "No, Tonya, this is of God. This is of Jesus." I said, "There are a lot of people that use this cross for other things besides God and Jesus. How do I know they could have been, sacrificing animals on this bitch? It ain't coming in my house." She thought I was crazy. I left that thing right in the trash can.
I bring no crosses in my house. But that's been since I was a little girl for some reason. Like, I was like, no, that can't come in my house. And even if it was used for a Christian purpose and you brought it, I still was like, something about the cross.
No. Well, she fished it out her trash can and put it on her wall, and it keeps turning. It keeps like slapping. That shit was exorcist shit. When the cross moves, it ain't good. It's not good.
Look, keep the whole house, the cross and the whole house.
Girl, shoot, I be in there with my holy water, talking about shabba laba laba zoom.
Look, I be calling you too. I'm like, I got you a ticket because look,
yes,
this is a team effort at this point. Because I'm like, it failed, and then it twisted, it went around. I was like, it's a team effort. I was like, at this point, go back in the house.
My childhood friend's house had mirror walls throughout the entire house. The house was full of strange energies, and that's because they walked through.
All those portals. And then, like, Tonya said, it captures energy and it reflects it back out. So you could have a couple that's absolutely loving, and all of a sudden their relationship just going to shit because they didn't clean and close the mirrors. And you have to remember, mirrors are neutral. So look at them just like, Switzerland. They're going to capture whatever they capture.
Yeah.
And so if it's a happy home, it's going to capture the happiness. If it's a negative home, it's going to capture that negativity. But either which way, the mirrors will open portals around your house. Not just the mirror itself, but it'll reflect off and open a portal all the way in the other corner of your house. So you have to seal it.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. My bedroom is filled with mirrors because the apartment came that way, and they are fixed on the closet in the bathroom and facing each other. And for some reason, I can't relax. Yeah, you need to cleanse it. And to be honest, to sleep in it, I would cover them. I would just cover them. I mean, you literally can get what is it, 84-inch panel curtain and just cover it. Sometimes out of sight, out of mind is what, if you seal it, of course the mirror can be completely exposed and you don't have that problem. But if you're not sealing it and you just want to cover it, you can. But I would seal them.
I would seal it because, to be honest with you, covering a mirror to me freaks me out even more. I need to see it. I want it sealed. I don't want it covered. I just want it sealed all the time.
Girl, let's see. I also discovered the previous tenant poured salt all over the damn wood floors. Okay, so here's the thing too. The person was a practitioner, because I guarantee that they were trying to seal the mirrors, or they were trying to ward their apartment, because I have salt all over my door and my windows and around certain corners. And it's because there's certain dead that will not cross over salt. Are there people that put salt on top of their mirrors? Yeah, but I feel like, what's the point? The mirror, the glass part is the portal. So putting salt on the top of it may stop some spirits, but you're going to have some that are going to still walk through. But I guarantee if they had salt all over the wood floors, they were trying to ward their place. And it could have been because they had spirits coming through.
Yep. My place came with the dressing room mirror in the bedroom. I'm telling you, I mean, mirrors, it took me a long time to be comfortable with mirrors, because when I was young, something from a mirror was talking to me. And I would sit there and talk to the mirror for hours, be playing with whatever was in the mirror when I was young. And then when I talked, I remember saying, "Oh, well, Mom, I'm just talking to the voice in the mirror." One day I came home, the mirror was gone. Now, if you ask my mom today, did I have a dresser with a mirror on it? She'd be like, "No, she never had that." I'm like,
Mom was like, yeah. Mom said, "Not on my watch. Not
like,
on my watch."
Old story, it was gone. That doesn't exist anymore. You had no mirror in your room when you were little. But the thing is, sleeping with a mirror facing you is going to make, I think, anybody feel uncomfortable. And that's, I mean, that's just me. I think it makes anyone feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think, yeah, for most people, you're right. Because first of all, too, there's a lot of energy. Even if they're not bothering you, you have walkthroughs where they're walking through these portals and walking through another mirror to go back out. And a lot of times it's harmless spirits. Some of them will not bother you. But like Shishi said, mirror is neutral. It doesn't discern what's coming through. So if you practice and you're summoning things, some people are going to have a lot more activity than other people. I remember getting up a long time ago when I think it was the first 2 months we lived here, and I got up to use the restroom, and it was kind of like I saw something in the mirror, but I was like half asleep. And it made me stop. And then I went back and I looked, and it was a woman with black hair. And it was like she was just sitting in the damn mirror. And so what I did was I went to my altar space and got my Florida water, and I came back and I wiped her away. I was like, okay, I'm tripping, but you gone. I'm tripping, but this is closed off. I know I'm tripping.
Mirror would have been all gone. I'd be like, well,
girl. But it was an older white woman with black hair, and she was, I mean, it was clear. It was clear to me that who she was or what she was. And I was like, and I don't think she meant any harm. I think she was just visiting, or she was just looking in at me. They heard me flush the toilet and everybody came in. I don't know what the hell. But yeah, I wiped her ass away. It was a done deal. And that's how the mirrors started getting sealed.
Yep. Look, I'm gonna go downstairs.
Sometimes you don't think about it.
This weekend and seal the mirrors in the bathroom. But I knew my mom's gonna be like, "What are you over there doing?" And be like, sealing the mirrors.
Yeah, I mean, the house and apartments come with energy. They hold energy. That's why we got all these horror stories with the Amityville and things like that. Because sometimes too, people are attached to spaces that they used to live in. You know, when I remember going to California visiting some relatives, and they put us in this apartment that had no furniture. And I remember telling my cousin at the time, I was like, our Cali family is so disrespectful. Like, they could have let us stay in the main house with them, but they kept going, oh, we want you two to have your privacy. That was bullshit. They didn't want us to be in the house. But I could not sleep that night because I kept hearing a man cry. I kept waking up, and I would ask my cousin, I said, do you hear that? And she's like, no. Come to find out, we were talking to our cousins the next day. There was a tenant in there that had committed suicide. And he was crying up until the point that he shot himself. So they put us in that room. And I was like, what the fuck?
They could not be my family. I'd be like, y'all
oh no, girl. I have not talked to them since. When I got on the plane, I was so pissed. It was so disrespectful.
It is disrespectful, and it's rude. And I think, honestly, there are some things, there's sometimes where spirits don't realize they're dead. And there's sometimes where they're repeating the loop of the pain that they went through, which is why I'm like, especially, like, I know you guys talk about conjuring upper house or whatever, but when you're building a house, you need to walk that land. You need to go in the daytime, you need to go midday, and then you need to go at night. What is the energy of that house? Because not every spirit's going to pop up in the middle of the day. Some pop up at night, some pop up in the morning. Some people pop, I mean, you have to make sure you have the good juju, right? You realize all of it with that land.
And then too, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Then too, you also have to realize that real estate agents don't tell you everything about the house. And I'm not just talking about the mechanics of it. Some of these people know, oh, this person practiced, or the landlord had a problem with this person because they were drawing sigils or pentagrams all over the floor, and we painted over this. There are a lot of things that people don't, bring out when you are purchasing a home or an apartment. So that's why cleansing and things like that are so important, because you don't know all the time what went on. Sierra's like, are shadows caused by mirrors as well? I don't think so. I mean, can shadows come through mirrors? Yeah, but I think shadow people tend to be energy.
Yeah,
people come from anywhere. So I don't think that you were just going to get shadow peoples from mirrors. There's other spirits that definitely can walk through, but yeah, shadows can come in from anywhere.
I think for me, like, when I get a real estate agent, if I'm going to buy a house, I want the real estate agent that is the most truthful of all. Like, if I was in Florida, I take Nika. I'd be like, Nika, somebody die here? I want to know.
I think you got to do your research too. You can literally pull up a home and see the history of it. Domestic violence. There's been people where they've had, reports of domestic violence in the house, which means that if you move in with a relationship, that energy could affect your relationship. I think a lot more people deal with it more so when they're renting homes. You definitely get like quick energies that move in and out.
And then I think for me, the one that would freak me out the most would be where children have passed. Because if you have kids, these children don't know sometimes. Yeah. I mean, they know, but then they want your kid to come play with them all the time.
True.
So then you get that. And so sometimes who they're talking to is not an imaginary friend. So it's just that too. So cleanse, get rid of as much as possible.
I did have a house where I had to go in because of that very reason. This little girl had a friend that had passed away like 2 apartments down. And the mom was like, she's sitting in there still playing with this little girl. And I was like, because the little girl doesn't know that she's dead. So she's still visiting your daughter, to play. And so she like, I want her gone. And I was like, well, we gotta ease her into this. Because I think she ended up getting some sickness. It wasn't COVID. I can't remember, but whatever it was, it took her pretty quick. So there's definitely, with children, I think it can be a little bit more complicated. Even going to the graveyard, I've had children spirits that tend to follow me because I'm bringing candy and toys with them. And it's like, you got to be careful too, with the spirits that you bring into your home, your attachments. So cleanse yourself, cleanse your space. Is there a difference between shades and shadow people? The latter is avoided.
There is a difference. Yeah. He's saying there is a difference between those two, and the shadow people are.
Oh, I thought it was like this. There is. I read it completely backwards, but yeah, that's true. That is true.
Sure. But yeah, shadow people. Yeah.
I like the way you were like. So we need to have a talk on shades and shadow people in the future, right?
Yeah, we'll get Marcus up here. He can break it down, scare everybody.
Oh my God, yeah, he would 100% break it down.
Scare everybody to death, and then we all be looking at our own shadows like.
It would be a good discussion though, but we definitely have to have Marcus on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be a great discussion. I think we should definitely talk about it. Let me see. Nika said I would not want to piss the spirit off of a kid, to be honest. They seem unhinged. You know what? I wouldn't say that they were unhinged. What I've learned that usually the ones that are unhinged are not children, because there's malevolent spirits that hide themselves as kids too.
True.
And it's easiest to get children when you can be a kid, right? Which is why I'm like, I hate scary movies with kids. I'm like, I hate it.
It's creepy. It is creepy. It's because creepy. There's a mischievous nature to them.
Mm-hmm.
That is, you know, yeah. There was a lady in it was a lady in Texas that used to cleanse houses, and she was on some interview where there was a little girl that kept speaking to the family. And she was so sweet. And the lady was like, they were like, we don't want to hurt the little girl. We put little cookies out for her and everything. And we think she's so sweet, but she's disrupting our kids in our home. And we just want her to move on to the light. And so the lady went in to do the cleansing, and it wasn't a kid. It wasn't a kid at all. It was a very old, grumpy ass spirit that was very negative, but to get the family to trust him, it pretended to be a child. Are there definitely in certain traditions, can the dead be used to work against you? And do some people manipulate children who crossed over? Absolutely.
Yes.
They do send, babies and kids to do damage to you,
which is horrible.
It is, but you have some practitioners that do that. But I agree with you. Not everything that you think is a child is a child.
So, I mean, honestly, I think having lived in the old country now, like being back in Germany, I'm like, I just walk and I'm like, there's so much. I've gone to the graveyard once and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have to come back another time. Definitely another time.
Because the energy is intense.
It's very different. It's very different. You're gonna have to speak German. We're talking about old people that don't really speak all the time your language.
Right.
They feel invaded. So, but then not only that, it's when you come visit, you'll feel it. It's definitely different. It's a different feeling, a different practice than being over stateside and feeling the energy there. So when you come visit, I'll be like, come on over. Let's go.
I would love to. I definitely would love to explore, just because the energy is different.
I know in one city they have a witch's cave where an actual witch lived in the woods, and it was her cave and she had her own stuff. And I was like, we can go visit that too.
I would, girl, please. Just like this backpack, shoes. I'm ready.
So
let me see, Rochelle. I always try to drive over water. Yeah, I do too. I mean, spirit, the dead can't cross over water. So a lot of times you'll notice that certain cemeteries will have a water element or a bridge over it because of that. Because somebody, old traditions, old wives' tales or whatever, that the dead, once you go to the cemetery, you need to cross over water to cleanse yourself. Alabama has a slave cemetery, or a cemetery where a lot of the first slaves that were brought over is there, and you have to go over this major, what is it? Would it be the Mississippi? I think it would be the Mississippi River. Yeah. So you cross over that bridge to go to the cemetery, and then when you leave, you cross back over it to go back to, I think it was in the Cold Meadows event, which was really beautiful. I have a river and a lake that I can cross over when I go to the cemetery. There have been times though when I have forgotten, because it's either go straight and go home or go to the left and go around and go back home to go over the water. Sometimes we think about it, sometimes we do not. There have been times where I've come straight home. We've had activity for a couple of days because, I was slipping and I brought something back with me.
You have to think about the other side of the coin too. Like where I live, the spirits can't leave. And so
Yeah, because you live on an island surrounded with water. Yeah.
There are so many spirits here on the island.
Yeah.
Yes, a spirit can follow you out of state.
Yeah.
It can.
We have people that have been walking around with attachments for most of their lives and they don't know. It depends. So yeah, spirit can attach and stick with you for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Some of y'all be riding down the freeway, jamming to your music, and the spirit be in the backseat talking about, yes,
that's my
yes. They rolling with you.
Ooh, my goodness. And my cats are like, look at this conversation you've gotten into. Oh, and we live in this old house. This is Sophie's like.
Sophie's like, I got it under control. 100%. I have it under control.
We have 4 cats in my house. So yeah, everybody's getting mentally protected for sure. So, but no. Let's see.
And that's another thing too. When you move into spaces, pay attention to your animals. Because they sense spirit, they can see spirit, if they start acting different, if they're barking at the corner or there's a certain room that they won't go into, you need to do some extra cleansing.
Certain cases, you just don't want to move. Like certain cases, they're just like not here.
That's true. That is true too.
I mean, sometimes it just is what it is,
Yeah. I would imagine if you had like a little dog or something that say you were taking on the viewing and the dog didn't want to go into the house. Yeah, that would be like, it's a wash, because animals are definitely a lot more sensitive. If we don't pick it up, they tend to pick it up.
I think, like when you go to the like old Carolina, of course, New Orleans, and you see how old those houses are, people are like, oh my God, it's a beautiful old home. Let's move in. I'm always like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I have a limit on age.
New Orleans, you can feel, every time I go, I feel spirit around my head and my feet, like they always touch, and it irritates me. But it's one of those places, like you say, some of these older towns or states that have a lot of spirit activity. Yeah, these old houses are full. They're full of them.
Yeah, and they are. When I went to New Orleans, I've been, I think, 3 times. I definitely feel really good energy and power there. I'm like, ooh, this is perfect to get everything going. But then I'm like, you also feel like, you're right, you feel things touching you and you're like, oh, they're staring at me. You could just be standing there and you're like, staring at me again. That one over there is staring at me too.
Yeah. New Orleans, it takes me a couple of days to acclimate. When I used to go down there, it would take me a couple of days to just kind of balance the energy. But there are beautiful homes, but there's plantations down there where there's a lot of death. There's a lot of unresolved issues with some ancestry and souls and things. So for some people, the energy can be very overwhelming, and those older homes can trigger you, so a lot of people have to be really careful. There was a time I wanted to move to New Orleans, but it's in a bowl. At some point, New Orleans is going to be underwater, so it's not an investment. But there are beautiful old homes that I was like, oh my God, I could live here. I'm in there for an hour and I get a headache, because the energy is too strong. So once you become sensitive to spirit, you feel it. You know it's not the place that you need to be, or it's not going to work for you.
I feel that way when you go to North Carolina and then like what is it? Wake Forest, I think it is, like close to Wake Forest University or so. And they have all those old homes that were big Victorian homes. And I'm like, with the porches that wrap all the way around. I'm like, they're so pretty. And you keep driving. Thank God I am not moving in it though. It's okay. It's really pretty to hear about it in the stories and see it like from afar.
Yes.
But sometimes when I would walk down the street when I was younger, I'd be like, there's an old lady sitting on that porch just swinging. And I would see it, but it was before, I was like, because I had blocked off my gift for a while, but I'd be like, I know there's an old lady sitting on that porch. Like you would glance and then I'd be like, gone. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not moving into any old home.
Yeah. I think I could move in if we had boundaries. But of course, with spirit, that could be hit and miss, depending. There was a story a while back of a woman that went to a plantation, a medium that went to a plantation in Louisiana. Um, and she said that she woke up one morning and she saw like 5 dead people hanging from a tree. And she was like, I woke up to a beautiful day. I heard the birds chirping. I went to the window to open the window. And she said, I just saw people hanging from the tree. And she said it just immediately, it just overwhelmed her, overtook her, and she had to leave. And I would imagine that some of those beautiful places have some of the most darkest, tragic energies that are there too. There's a lot of people that go do rituals with plantations and places like that because they're trying to move these people on and clear the energy. Yeah, Baton Rouge is an entire cemetery. That's true, Lisa.
I guess I don't understand. Like for me, I'm like, I would not want my wedding on a plantation land. People who do their weddings on plantation lands always shock me. I'm like, of all the places to have it with all that energy,
Yeah.
why would you do it there? But that's just me.
I never thought about it that way, but I guess you are right, because you got to think too that some of those spirits there do not want you. They do not want you.
You're celebrating, like, depending like on which plantation, if not all of them, you're celebrating a day of marriage, but a lot of them, the slaves, were not allowed to be married.
True.
So think about all of that energy that's there where they're like, oh, look at you over here in your dress and bouncing around and doing all these things. And
yeah, you're right. It probably would go back to ancestry. And then too, I guess even if you're looking for a house as a person of color or that may not have an attachment to that ancestry, you also have to be cautious with that too. The land, the energies that are around, because will the house accept you for who you are? Because this is 2022. Should be, I'm not even going to say we're a lot open now. We should be more open to, racism and things like that. But people don't change just because they die. Spirits don't change their perception just because they've crossed over. A lot of them still have that negativity. That's where you get all these hauntings and things, because people are pushing you out of the house or the land. So research, you guys. We see all these nice, beautiful apartments and things coming up, but here in Texas, we have a place, Crosby, where the developers dug up a cemetery. They moved the graves. And you can't tell me that they moved all the graves, but they wanted this place because it was prime real estate. It was a new development. So they dug up a lot of the graves and they moved them or homed them. And then they built this community. Poltergeist was based off of something like that, where they moved the graves or they moved the tombstones, but they left the bodies underneath.
Yeah, they moved the grave heads. Yeah.
A lot of people had issues with electricity, flickering lights, problems with their lawns, animals dying, and it was because of the dead that were still there, but it wasn't disclosed to these people. Or maybe they did know and they decided, I still want to get this house, so
I feel a lot of the times they didn't know, because I don't think anyone would be like, oh, so you moved the headstones, but you didn't move the bodies. Yeah, great. Let me go ahead and move in this house. No one. Yeah. I don't think anyone in their right mind would be like, yeah, okay, I'm cool with that.
So disrespectful. But you have a lot of developers that are doing it. There are a lot of, with indigenous land, people that are, not resting in peace because of what's being done to their land or their property. It can get deep.
They had a place like that in Virginia. What was it? It was a lot of it was the graves of the Black people that had died, and they built something over it. And I was like, yo, that's so rude. That's so rude. But they considered them important, so they're like, well, we'll just build a body over there, build a building over their bodies, and then things just be jacked up. But if you go to Old Town Alexandria, there's so many haunted places there. Yeah, so many haunted places. And most of the Lyceum, is it Lyceum? I think it's the Lyceum, is definitely haunted. Definitely. That was an experience.
Mm-hmm. Well, what is even that lake in Georgia where everybody keeps drowning? They have a lot of drownings there because it was a town and it was cemeteries, and this is a man-made lake or whatever. So people go there and they have a lot of fatalities because people are saying something. Something grabbed me and pulled me under the water. So, I mean, of course, you know, with real estate, you have a lot of shadiness and opportunists out there.
Lake Lanier is what Nika said, Lake Lanier.
Yes,
But
Lake
you think
Lanier.
about it, you're just like, where do they think the energy goes? Like, do they think it just like all of a sudden disappears? Because it doesn't.
It's not about energy. It's about money. You know, you have people that don't believe in spiritual things. They don't have any connection to it. So it's like, we're going to go ahead and move these people out the way and build a nice condo on top of here because we can make a lot of money. They have no regard. So, you know, they're still out here finding mass graves of people who died, you know, in 1910, 1915, you know, that were Black people that were just thrown in a mass grave. And now they're like, okay, you know, we have a company or a business that's built on top of this because we're progressing. So it definitely, you know, for a lot of people that are looking to move, I would say research the history. You know, for some people, it's not really that deep. It's like, I'm going to move. This is where I want to be. I'm going to cleanse the apartment. Me and the spirit's cool. If that's the case, you know, you don't have to worry about it. But if you move into a place where the energy is off or you feel like the energy is off, it may require a deeper cleanse. You may need to get somebody in there that really knows how to, you know, move spirit on.
You know, I think it's interesting. Everybody's like, oh, you could just cleanse it out. Well, I think definitely you can tell if there's something that you can cleanse out early on when you're walking through the house. I mean, and the perfect example, let's be real, is Amityville. They say get out. I would be like, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. The house does not want me here. And I'm going to go. But I think, you know, a lot of people, they assume because they've seen like TV shows were like, and we brought the person and she chanted and did the bells and then everything was cleared. Well, just for people to know, just because they got cleared out, some things just leave temporarily and then they come back. Some things really do not leave. So be cognizant of it.
That's true. Let's see, Kwani, and I get my question. If you were enslaved in life, would you not move on? Okay, so here's the thing. You have some spirits that 100% do cross over. They have decided that they are leaving this physical plane and they don't want any parts of haunting coming back or whatever. Then you have people who have died tragically. Some people die with confusion. So there's some spirits that don't even know. They don't realize that they're dead. And then you have some spirits that are connected to properties because of trauma, domestic violence, you know, being murdered in there. There is this energy of they've imprinted. So yeah, so there could be, you know, a lot of different reasons that a spirit decides that it doesn't want to move on. You hope that spirits will move on, but there are a lot of people that actually go to these plantations and these places where there were slaves that do rituals to help them, you know, move on to try to cleanse that energy. But spirits still have free will too. Just because you die doesn't mean that you have to float on to purgatory or heaven or where if you don't want to go. You know, you have some spirits that are like, no, I ain't about that.
I mean, like, what is one of the houses they tried to clear so many times and it just never works? La Rue Mansion, isn't it like the La Rue Mansion in New Orleans?
Yeah.
All those horrible experiments. And they tried so many times. Huh?
La Laurie Mansion.
La Laurie Mansion. Mm-hmm. And like, she did such horrible experiments that they just cannot leave that space without
because of the anger, the sheer anger of these spirits, of these people that died in there. They were tortured. They went through hell, and some of them, that energy has imprinted. It has imprinted.
I know they said one guy bought it and he moved in, and every day he would wake up, there'd be like poop and everything, fecal matter, everything all over the house. And I'm like, horrible.
Yeah, but I mean,
is that the house that Nicolas Cage bought?
Yeah, and then his career went down. They said you have 7 years when you own it, and your life goes downhill or something like that.
Yeah, and it's true. He even said that. He said he regretted it. He regretted it because he said he didn't believe in any curses or anything like that, but something definitely affected his career after he purchased it. So yeah. So Lynna, I know that you have to go and get your daughter on. So I guess, are we closing out now?
We can. I mean, it's just down the road if y'all want to.
Well, no, because I mean, we started a little late, and I know it's late where Shishi is, and I know you got to get Taylor. So yeah, we can.
we've been on for like an hour and a half, so we could
Yeah.
always
So
be
yeah,
on forever. Like
yeah.
truthfully.
We put the
So.
time in. So you guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your information and putting it out there. Remember that you can always work with St. Joseph, St. Anthony, vision boards, manifestation. What else, Shishi?
Manifestation, ancestors, spirit guides, deities, angels, like you said, saints, angels. But just make sure you have the relationship with them and make sure you have faith. Be smart, you know. If something, you know, if you feel like something's not right about the place that you're going to purchase, don't do it because you have to stay there.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it affects you too. So,
and I want to say too, and we didn't talk about this at all, but when you're manifesting your house, budget your money so that when you find the place you want, you can actually get it.
Yeah.
Do the prosperity work and the manifestation work, but you need to budget as well. That's part of that, you know, your homework.
Mm-hmm.
Part of doing
putting action into it. Action, you know, saving the money and putting everything in order so that when you get into it, you're free and clear.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
All right, my loves. Well, we will see you next week. Y'all have a beautiful day and please be safe. I know with this virus, everything is spreading so quickly. So please, please, please stay safe. We love y'all.
Be blessed.
Bye.
Bye.